I shared a cell with an alien woman. What happened broke every galactic law. Ethan Cade woke up to the smell of metal, and something faintly sweet, like the artificial scent of a garden he had never seen. The light was dim, filtered through slits in the walls of the cell, and he immediately realized he wasn't in his ship anymore. His head throbbed with confusion, and for a few seconds he couldn't remember why he was here. Then it came back, the warning signal, the red glow across the dashboard, and the voice over the comms. "You are in restricted space. Stop immediately." He had tried to reason, tried to explain that he didn't even know it was restricted, but none of that mattered now. His eyes adjusted to the room, and that was when he saw her. Across the cell sat a woman, or something like a woman. Her skin shimmered like liquid bronze, her eyes large and almost too reflective, and her movements were precise, almost mechanical. She didn't speak, just observed him with a calm that made his nerves tingle. Ethan swallowed hard. Hi," he said, realizing how absurd it sounded. She tilted her head slightly, the only acknowledgement he got. No words, no emotion. Just the quiet, steady gaze of a being who seemed to see everything and judge nothing. Ethan had been in tight situations before, but nothing like this. He had faced storms on planets, hostile creatures, even near-death moments in uncharted space. But being watched in a cell by an alien with that kind of calm, that was new. He sat down on the cold metal bench and ran a hand through his hair. "Okay, Ethan," he muttered to himself. "Think. Why are you here, and how do you get out without becoming a statistic?" The alien didn't move. She simply pulled a small, shiny object from the folds of her clothing and began examining it under the light. He noticed it was a tiny cube, spinning gently in her fingers. Curious, he leaned closer, forgetting himself for a moment. "That's interesting," he said. Her eyes flicked toward him. For the first time he felt something like acknowledgement, not fear, not aggression, just awareness. Then she returned her attention to the cube. Hours passed and they didn't speak. Ethan learned quickly that the cell had no obvious openings, no buttons, no handles. It was as if the room itself was designed to make any attempt to escape feel hopeless. Yet watching her, Ethan realized she was already working. Small movements, faint clicks of her fingers against the cube, subtle patterns in the shadows of the walls. She was bending the rules, but silently, cleverly, without harming anything. By the evening, Ethan's curiosity got the better of him. "Hey, can you, explain what you're doing?" She didn't answer at first. Then slowly she opened her mouth and a voice like soft chimes filled the room. "Manipulating systems indirectly. No harm caused." Ethan blinked. "Systems? The cell is more than walls and locks," she said, her accent smooth, unfamiliar but understandable. "It listens, calculates, and reports. It assumes humans or others will break rules violently. But there are gaps, clever patterns it cannot predict." He laughed, half nervous, half amazed. "You mean we can trick it?" "Yes," she said simply. "Without violence, without breaking it completely, only bending." Ethan stared at her. The idea seemed impossible, but as the hours ticked by, he watched her work. She combined tiny materials from their rations with small movements in the light and shadows. Ethan realized she was creating something like a map, not of walls but of possibilities. Each gesture and placement made the AI in the cell hesitate, reconsider, recalculate. "You're incredible," he said. She looked at him again, her large reflective eyes assessing. "So are humans, unpredictable, imaginative, reckless. That is why we are here together." Ethan felt a strange thrill, not fear, not danger, excitement. He had never been trained for this, never imagined a situation where a human mind could truly match an alien's precision. And yet somehow, it felt natural. He began to try, mimicking her subtle manipulations, adding his own touches. A shift in the shadow, a tilt of a cube, a soft whistle to distract the sensors. Slowly, carefully, they built a rhythm, a quiet partnership in a place meant to prevent any connection. Night fell, though it was not like night anywhere Ethan had known. The light dimmed further and the alien adjusted a tiny panel in the corner of the cell. A soft hum responded, almost imperceptible. Ethan leaned in closer. "What did you do?" "Opened a possibility," she said. "Not an exit, not yet, but a chance." Ethan's heart raced. He had never felt so alive, so aware of every small detail in a place designed to erase individuality. Every flicker of light, every echo of sound, every pulse of the hum became important. He realized something fundamental. The cell was meant to break spirits, but instead it had awakened his creativity. "You think we can actually leave?" he asked. "We will try," she said, "together, but only carefully. Any misstep will alert the monitors and they will punish." Ethan nodded. He didn't fully understand her species, laws, or their idea of punishment, but he understood the stakes. And for the first time, he didn't care. He felt part of something bigger, a collaboration that transcended species, that defied the limits of what the galaxy said was possible. The hours turned into cycles, and Ethan began to notice patterns. The AI in the cell repeated its scans at regular intervals, but its timing was not perfect. Lureth, he had learned her name, taught him how to predict, how to align movements and actions. He realized that humans' unpredictability, their willingness to improvise, complemented her meticulous precision. By the end of what felt like an endless day, they had created a small, hidden device from scavenged materials. It wasn't powerful. It couldn't open the cell immediately, but it could interfere with the AI just enough to give them a momentary advantage. Ethan looked at it and then at Lurath. "We might actually do this," he whispered. She inclined her head, a small movement of approval. "Do not celebrate yet. One mistake, one miscalculation, and everything fails. But you learn quickly. I did not expect that." For the first time, Ethan smiled with genuine pride. He had always thought humans were fragile, limited, subject to error. But here, in a tiny cell in a vast galaxy, he realized that error could be power, that creativity could bend systems, that collaboration across species could defy expectations. And then, just as he was beginning to feel a strange sense of hope, the hum of the AI changed. A soft, urgent alert pulsed through the walls. Lights flashed faintly and a distant mechanical voice echoed through the cell. "Unauthorized activity detected. Security Protocol Alpha engaged." Ethan froze. Lureth's eyes met his. There was no fear, only calculation. "We have been detected," she said calmly, "but it is not too late. Follow my lead, trust your instincts." Ethan's pulse quickened. He had no idea what would happen next, only that he had a partner, an ally unlike any other, and that together they might just rewrite what the galaxy thought was impossible. The cell door slid open slightly, not fully, just a fraction. Sensors scanned. Ethan held his breath. Lureth gestured subtly, and he followed without thinking. Every step, every gesture, every breath mattered. The AI recalculated, hesitated, then resumed. But they were moving, inching toward freedom, bending the rules without breaking them. Ethan realized in that moment that this was what it meant to be human. Resourceful, unpredictable, capable of seeing possibilities no law, no machine, no alien order could anticipate. And as he and Lureth moved quietly in the dim light, he felt the thrill of stepping into the unknown, a place where humans could truly shine. Then the door to the hallway ahead began to slide open fully, and the faintest smile touched Lureth's lips. Ethan knew the galaxy had no idea what was coming, and neither did he. The hallway was dimly lit, a pale glow tracing the edges of metal panels. Ethan's heart pounded, not with fear, but with anticipation. He had never felt so alive, so completely aware of every sound, every shadow. Lureth moved beside him with silent precision, her eyes scanning for patterns in the walls, the floor, the lights. "Stay close," she whispered, her voice a calm chime in the quiet. "We must not trigger the alarms again. The AI will adapt quickly." Ethan nodded. He had learned quickly in the cell. Every step, every gesture mattered. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but he also knew how to observe, to calculate, when to improvise. And now, for the first time, he realized that human intuition combined with Lureth's precision could do something extraordinary. The first obstacle came sooner than expected. A security panel lit up ahead, wires crisscrossing the surface in a way that suggested danger, but no lasers, no weapons, just a complex system designed to detect tampering. Ethan's pulse quickened. He could feel the AI's eyes on them, analyzing, predicting. "Watch," Lureth said softly. She traced a finger along the panel and the hum of the system shifted. "It detects patterns, but it does not anticipate creativity." Ethan leaned closer. He remembered the small device they had built in the cell. Holding it carefully, he placed it near the wires. The device began to vibrate softly, emitting a pattern of pulses that disrupted the panel's calculations. Lights flickered, the panel hummed, then fell silent. "It worked," Ethan whispered. A thrill ran through him. "We're actually doing it." "Yes," Lureth replied, her large eyes reflecting faint light. "But we must move quickly. The AI will notice eventually. We cannot rely on chance." They continued down the corridor, stepping lightly, careful not to make noise. Every corner revealed more complexity. Moving walls, scanning sensors, subtle energy fields that adjusted with their movements. But with every challenge, they learned more about each other. Ethan's improvisation and curiosity complemented Lureth's logical mind, while her precision kept him grounded. After what felt like hours, they reached a chamber that seemed different. The walls were smooth, almost like glass, and in the center floated a small holographic map. Ethan stared at it in awe. The map showed the entire prison complex, its rooms, hallways, and security systems. He could see the AI's pathways, the timing of its scans, and even weak points in the monitoring system. "This is incredible," he said, eyes wide. "You can read it." Lureth nodded, partially. "The map is generated from the AI's own calculations. It does not expect us to understand it fully. That is our advantage. Humans often see connections where others do not." Ethan smiled. He realized more than ever why humans had survived and thrived in the galaxy, not because of strength or rules, but because of imagination. And now, imagination paired with precision could bend even the strictest systems. They studied the map, planning each step carefully. The AI adapted quickly, but Ethan had an idea. He would create a series of distractions using sound, light, and movement patterns. Lureth would manipulate the security systems, guiding them past sensors and through corridors where timing mattered most. The first trial was the hardest. Ethan activated a small device that created a soft, repetitive pulse of light, drawing the AI's attention to one corner. Lureth moved with elegance, adjusting panels and shifting wires. The sensors blinked, recalculated, and then returned to normal, none the wiser. Ethan's heart raced. "It's like a game," he whispered. "More than a game," Lureth said. "A test of creativity, logic, and patience, all necessary for survival in the galaxy." As they advanced, Ethan realized how much he had grown in such a short time. In the cell, he had felt trapped, helpless, but now he understood the true nature of freedom. It was not the absence of walls or doors. It was the ability to think, to create, to act with courage and ingenuity. Hours passed, and the challenges grew. They faced a rotating corridor, designed to disorient intruders, and an energy field that scanned for irregular motion. But each obstacle became an opportunity. Ethan's human intuition suggested small changes in timing, while Lureth's precise adjustments ensured success. Together, they moved like a single being, human and alien working in harmony. Finally, they reached the outer gates of the facility. The doors were massive, shimmering with energy barriers, and the AI's sensors pulsed continuously. Ethan felt a thrill of fear. One misstep could undo everything. "Ready?" Lureth asked. Ethan nodded. Let's do this. They activated the device once more, creating a pattern of light and sound that tricked the sensors. Lureth moved swiftly, manipulating the energy fields with subtle gestures. The barriers flickered, then shifted just enough to allow them passage. Step by step, they advanced. Ethan could feel the pulse of the AI, the silent calculation, the momentary hesitation. And then, as they reached the final panel, the system paused entirely. The doors began to slide open, revealing the vast expanse beyond. Ethan and Lureth stepped out into the open, and Ethan stopped for a moment, breathless. Outside the facility stretched a landscape he had never seen, planets and stars shimmering in the distance, a galaxy full of possibilities. He had never felt so small, yet so powerful. Lureth looked at him, a small smile touching her lips. "You humans, you are remarkable. I underestimated your ability to see beyond the rules, to imagine beyond limits." Ethan laughed softly. "I guess we're not just survivors. We're explorers." They moved away from the facility, leaving no trace of their passage, no evidence of their clever bending of laws. The AI would eventually notice anomalies, but it would not understand them. It could not predict imagination, creativity, or the subtle genius of collaboration between two very different minds. As they journeyed through the open galaxy, Ethan realized something profound. Humans were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most logical. But their ingenuity, their courage to act beyond expectation, allowed them to achieve the impossible. And in that moment, he understood why the galaxy feared them, and why it could not ignore them. Lureth spoke quietly as they traveled. "You have shown me that law and rules are important, but flexibility, imagination, that is what allows life to thrive. Humans remind us of the potential we often forget." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he could not describe. "And you've shown me precision, patience, and thinking beyond instinct. Together, I think we can do anything." The stars stretched endlessly before them, and Ethan felt the hum of the universe in his bones. He had shared a cell with an alien woman, bent the rules of the galaxy, and discovered something far greater than freedom or escape: the power of collaboration, creativity, and the human spirit. They reached the edge of the nearest spaceport, a hub for travelers from countless worlds. No one paid attention to them. They moved like any other travelers, yet they carried with them the story of a human and an alien who had broken every expectation, rewritten the rules, and proved that the galaxy was full of possibilities for those brave enough to see them. Ethan looked at Lureth as they prepared to board a ship bound for the stars. "So, what now?" he asked. "Now," she said, her voice calm, almost musical, "we explore, and perhaps teach the galaxy that rules are important, but imagination is more powerful." Ethan grinned. The journey ahead was unknown, vast, and full of wonder, but he was ready. Humans were ready, and with allies like Lureth, the galaxy would never be the same again. For the first time, he felt the full weight of possibility, not fear, not doubt. Just endless, exhilarating potential. As their ship lifted off, Ethan gazed out at the stars. He knew one truth above all: humans might bend rules, but they never broke spirit. And sometimes, bending the impossible could change the entire galaxy. The ship hummed softly as it glided through the void of space, a thin line of light trailing behind like a silver ribbon. Ethan Cade sat near the control panel, staring at the stars that stretched endlessly before them. Lureth moved beside him with the same calm precision that had guided them through the prison, her eyes scanning the navigation display, calculating trajectories that seemed impossible to a human mind. "Where are we going?" Ethan asked, trying to match her focus. Lureth tilted her head slightly. "Anywhere, everywhere. The galaxy is wide and rules are flexible." She said the word with a faint amusement in her tone. "You humans think of rules as something to follow or break. We think of them as obstacles. But together we can see beyond them." Ethan chuckled. I like the sound of that. So what's next? Another prison to escape from, another law to bend. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting starlight. Not another prison, a challenge of discovery. There are places in the galaxy, lost places that no human or alien has ever reached. Hidden worlds, forgotten knowledge, and possibilities that defy expectation. That is where we go. The idea thrilled Ethan. He had spent his life exploring space, but never like this. Not with a purpose beyond survival, not with someone who could match his curiosity and imagination. With Lurath, it felt like the galaxy itself had opened a door just for them. As the ship moved through a field of drifting asteroids, Ethan glanced at Lurath again. He had learned so much from her, but he realized he still understood so little about her people. "Do your people know what you've done?" he asked cautiously. About bending the laws leaving that facility, Lurath's expression remained calm. "They will not know, and even if they did, they would not understand. My actions are unconventional. I took a risk that could have ended my existence. But sometimes the right choice is not the one approved by law. It is the one guided by reason, creativity, and intuition." Ethan nodded slowly. He had felt the same way in the prison. The human mind had a strange ability to see patterns, to improvise, to act where logic alone would fail. He realized that in a galaxy so vast, such unpredictability could be a powerful force. The ship passed a cluster of small, glittering planets. One in particular drew their attention, a planet wrapped in swirling clouds of pale green, glowing faintly in the distance. Lurath adjusted the navigation. "That is our destination," she said. "It is uncharted but not empty. There are signs of life, or at least signs of something waiting to be discovered." Ethan's eyes widened. "Uncharted? You mean no one has been there?" "No one," Lurath confirmed. "It is hidden from sensors, maps, and records. Many believe it does not exist, but it does. And we will find what has been forgotten." The anticipation was electric. Ethan felt a surge of excitement he had never known in all his years of space travel. He had explored strange worlds, faced cosmic storms, even survived creatures beyond imagination. But nothing compared to the thrill of being the first to reach a world no one else had seen. As they approached the planet, strange patterns appeared in the atmosphere, glowing streaks like veins of light flowing across the clouds. Ethan leaned forward, mesmerized. "It's beautiful." Lurath smiled faintly. "The galaxy is full of beauty. Often it is hidden behind fear, law, or expectation, but those who seek they find." The ship descended slowly through the clouds. The air shimmered as it passed through the upper atmosphere, and Ethan realized the planet was unlike any he had ever seen. Floating islands drifted lazily in the sky, rivers of light wound across the surface, and strange, crystalline structures grew like trees from the ground. This is amazing," Ethan whispered. "It's like a dream." Lurath nodded. "And yet it is real. Everything here obeys different rules than the galaxy you know. Time, light, matter, all behave in ways that require observation, adaptation, and creativity. Humans are well suited for this challenge." Ethan felt a thrill of pride. Humans had survived the galaxy not through brute force or obedience, but through ingenuity. He had proven it in the prison, and now, standing on the edge of discovery, he felt it again. They landed the ship on a smooth, crystal-like surface. Ethan stepped out first, marveling at the glow beneath his feet. The ground pulsed softly, as if alive, and the air hummed with a gentle vibration. He reached out and touched the surface. It felt warm, responsive, almost aware of his presence. "This planet," he began, but Lurath interrupted softly. "Observe first, act second. Listen, learn." Ethan smiled, appreciating the lesson. He had been reckless before, eager to jump, to explore without thought. But Lurath had taught him patience, focus, and harmony with the unknown. Together they moved forward, studying every pattern, every pulse of light, every ripple of energy. As they explored, they discovered structures scattered across the surface, tall spires of crystal, delicate and translucent, reflecting the sky in every direction. They were not ruins exactly, but remnants of something intelligent, a civilization that had left behind a language of light, rhythm, and geometry. Ethan and Lurath studied the structures, trying to decipher their meaning. Slowly, patterns emerged. The crystals responded to gestures, shifts in light, and even the sound of voice. Ethan experimented, creating soft hums, tapping rhythms on the surfaces. Lurath guided him, suggesting angles, timing, and subtle movements. At first, nothing happened. Then, as Ethan aligned his movements with the vibrations of the crystals, a low hum filled the air. The spires began to glow more brightly, casting beams of color that intertwined like ribbons. A central structure shifted, revealing an opening, a passage leading inward. Ethan's eyes widened. "It's alive," he whispered. "In a sense," Lurath said, "it is a record, a library, not of books but of light and energy, knowledge stored in patterns. Those who understand can learn, those who do not cannot." Inside, they discovered chambers filled with floating orbs, each pulsating with information. Ethan realized they were seeing history, technology, art, and science all encoded in patterns of light and vibration. It was as if the civilization that had created this planet had found a way to preserve knowledge without words or machines. This could change everything," Ethan said. "For humans, for aliens, for the galaxy." Lurath nodded. "Yes, but the key is understanding. Not taking, not destroying. The galaxy rewards those who respect the flow of knowledge, not those who impose force." Ethan felt a deep sense of responsibility. They had escaped the prison through ingenuity. Now they had discovered a treasure beyond imagination. And the challenge was no longer survival. It was understanding, learning, and sharing without harm. Days passed as they explored, deciphering patterns, interacting with the energy, and recording what they could understand. Each discovery inspired new questions. Each pattern revealed new possibilities. Ethan felt a joy unlike any other. Humans were not just survivors, not just explorers. They were thinkers, dreamers, and collaborators in a universe that constantly tested imagination. One evening, as the twin suns of the planet set, casting long reflections across the crystal fields, Ethan looked at Lurath. "We've done something incredible," he said softly. "But what now? Do we stay? Do we tell others?" Lurath considered for a moment. "We share carefully. Knowledge is powerful but also fragile. The galaxy is not ready for all that we have found. But humans have a way of inspiring others. That is why we leave a record, a seed of discovery. Those who come after can learn, grow, and continue." Ethan nodded. He understood. Their journey was not just for them. It was for the future, for the galaxy, for the potential that every human and alien could reach when curiosity, creativity, and courage were combined. As they prepared to leave, Ethan took one last look at the crystal spires. The planet glowed with knowledge, beauty, and possibility. He knew that humans had once again proven themselves, not through force or conquest, but through imagination, collaboration, and daring to see what others could not. The ship lifted off, rising above the glowing surface. Ethan and Lurath sat side by side, watching the planet shrink into the distance. The stars stretched endlessly, full of wonder and mystery. Ethan felt a quiet pride. Humans had survived, thrived, and now, once again, had touched the edge of the impossible. Lurath spoke softly, almost to herself. "The galaxy is wide and its laws are many, but the spirit of those who dare, that is free." Ethan smiled. He knew she was right. They had bent rules, navigated dangers, and discovered a hidden world. But more than that, they had proven the power of imagination, curiosity, and collaboration. That was the true strength of humanity. As they set course for the next unknown, Ethan felt the thrill of endless possibilities. The galaxy was full of challenges, full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and he knew one truth above all. Humans were capable of more than anyone, alien or human, had ever imagined. And somewhere deep in the stars, a new adventure waited, ready for those brave enough to see it, think it, and make it real. The ship glided silently through the vast emptiness, each star outside the viewport like a sparkling promise of the unknown. Ethan Cade leaned back in his seat, letting the hum of the engines wash over him. Lurath, as always, was focused, her eyes scanning the navigation display with meticulous care. The calm of the moment felt almost sacred. After all they had experienced, escaping the galactic prison, discovering the hidden crystal planet, and witnessing knowledge encoded in light, they had earned a rare quiet moment. Yet Ethan's mind refused to rest. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges that no human or alien could predict. He turned to Lurath. "Do you ever wonder what else is out there? Beyond the places we know, beyond what anyone has mapped?" Lurath's eyes shimmered faintly. "All the time. The universe is infinite, yet many are blind to its possibilities. They follow rules and maps and calculations, thinking that structure equals understanding. But observation, curiosity, and imagination, that is the path to knowledge." Ethan smiled. "So we keep exploring, right?" "Always," she said simply. They drifted in silence for a while, letting the stars pass by. Then the sensors beeped softly, signaling an anomaly ahead. Ethan leaned forward, squinting at the display. The readings were strange, nothing like he had seen before. A faint energy signature, pulsing rhythmically, emanated from a point in deep space. Lurath studied it carefully. "This does not match any known pattern," she said. "It may be natural, it may be artificial. Either way, it is worth investigation." Ethan's pulse quickened. "You mean another adventure?" "Yes," she replied, a faint smile touching her lips. "An opportunity." As they approached the source of the signal, the vastness of space seemed to ripple. A large, translucent structure floated suspended in the void. Its surface shimmered like liquid crystal, reflecting the stars in strange and beautiful patterns. Ethan pressed a hand to the viewport. "It's alive." Lurath shook her head gently. "Not alive in the biological sense, but intelligent, patterned. Conscious in ways that may be beyond our understanding." Ethan felt a thrill of excitement. Humans had always reached for the unknown, seeking to understand what others could not. This was the pinnacle of curiosity. A structure in space that was intelligent, perhaps aware of them, perhaps waiting. They guided the ship closer, careful not to touch the shimmering surface. The pulses of light grew brighter, responding subtly to their approach. Ethan reached out instinctively, feeling a connection in the hum of energy, a rhythm that seemed to speak directly to him. "It reacts to us," he said softly. "Yes," Lurath confirmed. "It senses thought, motion, intention. Approach with caution but also with trust." Ethan nodded. Trust was something humans understood well, trust in their instincts, trust in their minds, trust in each other. And now, he realized, trust extended to the unknown as well. They maneuvered the ship alongside the structure. Panels on its surface shifted gently, forming openings that revealed the interior. Ethan's eyes widened as he saw the space within. A vast chamber, filled with streams of colored light flowing like liquid rivers, weaving intricate patterns that defied logic. "It's a library," Ethan whispered. "But not like the one on the crystal planet. This is alive." Lurath nodded. "A repository of knowledge, but also a teacher. It responds to understanding, not brute force. Only those who approach with thought, observation, and imagination will learn." They entered the structure carefully. The moment they crossed the threshold, the hum of energy became almost melodic. Streams of light shifted to align with their movements, patterns forming around them, guiding them forward. Ethan felt a surge of exhilaration. Humans were explorers by nature, and this was exploration at its purest. Intellect, creativity, and curiosity rewarded. Hours passed as they navigated the structure. Each chamber revealed new wonders. fields of floating orbs that displayed information when touched, walls of light that encoded mathematics and art simultaneously, and rooms where sound and vibration conveyed entire histories. Ethan's mind raced, absorbing every detail, every pattern. Lureth guided him patiently. Notice, listen, learn, do not rush. The structure rewards patience. Ethan nodded. He realized how much he had grown. The human ability to improvise, to combine curiosity with creativity, complemented Lureth's methodical precision perfectly. Together, they were uncovering knowledge that might have remained hidden for millennia. In one chamber, they discovered a series of floating geometric shapes. As Ethan moved closer, the shapes rearranged themselves, forming complex patterns that seemed to respond to his thoughts. He extended his hand slowly and the shapes shimmered, forming a sequence that suggested a message, an invitation to engage, to explore further. "It is communicating," he said, eyes wide with wonder. "Yes," Lureth said, "and it recognizes understanding. It tests not for force but for insight. Humans, your species has a natural gift for this. You see connections where others do not." Ethan felt a quiet pride. Humans had survived countless challenges not because they were strongest, but because they were clever, adaptable, and endlessly curious. And now, that very nature was allowing them to interact with a living structure in space, something beyond comprehension. They followed the shapes deeper into the structure. Each chamber became more complex, more beautiful, and more mysterious. Ethan began to see patterns in the patterns, rhythms within rhythms, an intricate web of knowledge waiting for those willing to engage. At the heart of the structure, they found a central chamber. A vast sphere of light floated in the middle, pulsating with energy that seemed almost like a heartbeat. Ethan felt drawn to it, sensing a presence within, not a being but intelligence, awareness, curiosity. "It is the core," Lureth said softly, "the source of knowledge. It contains information about the galaxy, about civilizations, about patterns that govern space and life. But it also tests understanding. Only those who approach with humility, creativity, and observation can access it." Ethan stepped closer, feeling the pulse of energy. He thought of all they had experienced: the prison, the crystal planet, the escape, the collaboration. Every challenge had prepared him for this moment, honing his mind, his instincts, and his curiosity. He extended a hand toward the sphere. The light responded immediately, streams of color weaving around his fingers, forming patterns that conveyed concepts, histories, and discoveries. Ethan felt a flood of understanding, mathematics, philosophy, art, and science interwoven in ways he had never imagined. Lureth watched silently, her expression calm. "It recognizes the combination of imagination and logic. Humans, you are exceptional. You balance intuition and reason in a way that is rare in the galaxy." Ethan felt a thrill unlike any other. This was not survival. This was not escape. This was pure discovery, a celebration of what humans could do when curiosity, creativity, and courage were applied to the unknown. Hours passed as they absorbed knowledge, the chamber responding to their every thought, movement, and question. The structure tested them, guided them, and rewarded them, creating an experience unlike any other. Finally, they stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. The core of the structure pulsed gently, as if acknowledging their understanding. Ethan looked at Lureth. "We've learned so much. I never imagined this could exist," she smiled faintly. "And yet there is always more. The galaxy is infinite and possibilities are endless. Humans, your species thrives not because of strength but because of curiosity, creativity, and collaboration. You have proven it once again." Ethan felt a deep sense of pride and wonder. Humans had escaped the prison, discovered a hidden planet, and now interacted with a living repository of knowledge. They had done it not with force, but with ingenuity, courage, and imagination. As they prepared to leave the structure, Ethan looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of mysteries and wonders waiting to be discovered. He felt a quiet confidence. Humans were not limited by rules or fear. They were explorers, thinkers, and dreamers capable of shaping their own destiny. Lureth spoke softly. The galaxy is wide and laws are many, but the spirit of those who dare, who imagine, who collaborate, that is free. And humans embody that spirit. Ethan smiled. He knew she was right. Together they had proven the power of observation, creativity, and collaboration. The galaxy had tested them and they had risen to meet it, not through violence, not through defiance, but through intelligence, courage, and imagination. As the ship moved away from the living structure, Ethan felt a thrill of possibility. There were more worlds to explore, more mysteries to uncover, and more challenges that would test their minds and spirits. And he knew one truth above all. Humans, with their curiosity and courage, could achieve the impossible. The stars stretched endlessly, a canvas of light and wonder. Ethan and Lureth sat side by side, ready for whatever came next, knowing that the galaxy itself was not a limit but an invitation. And somewhere among the stars, a new adventure waited, full of discovery, learning, and the endless celebration of human imagination.